2018 at 6 p.m. Present tonight, we have Councilman Podeska, Councilwoman Barch, Councilman Porter, I almost said Councilwoman Porter, and via electronic means, Councilman Wilden. Councilwoman Comber is excused tonight. So we do have a quorum. Councilman Porter, will you give us our invocation, and then we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance by Caden Harwood from Troop 796.
Our Heavenly Father, we're grateful for this opportunity for us to meet together this evening to conduct the business of this city, and we ask that we'll be blessed to make decisions that will benefit the citizens of Saratoga Springs now and in the future. And we ask Thee to help us to take those actions which will help our city continue to improve and to find new ways to help the citizens. We ask Thee to please bless the first responders serving in our city that protect us and keep us safe, as well as the members of the armed forces serving overseas. Say these things in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Okay, if you want to come up to the mic. If you want to come up to the mic.
Please rise. Repeat the pledge after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, tonight we have a public hearing, the transfer to the Utah Department of Transportation, the following easement and real property for the Redwood Road widening and Mountain View corridor projects, easements on parcels as listed on the agenda.
Jeremy, you want to discuss the item briefly?
Mayor and Council, as you're aware, UDOT's working on the Redwood Road widening project and the Mountain View corridor project. There are some easements and parcels they are looking to acquire from us, addressed in my staff report, and the contracts. Some of them we are exchanging for monetary compensation, and others because it was dedicated right away, we are exchanging just for equivalent, you know, they're taking over the maintenance obligations, so they're relieving us of long-term expenses, which is kind of equivalent value to the property. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, but pretty straightforward. We will probably be bringing forth at least one more, if not two more, right-of-way packages similar to this. This is the first one. This is mostly on Mountain View corridor with one parcel on Redwood Road.
Okay, this is a public hearing, so I'll open up the mic for anybody here who would like to comment on this item. Please limit your comment to 3 minutes. Please avoid repetitive comments and be respectful in your comments. Is anybody here for a public hearing? Okay, seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Is there any discussion from the council? And I will entertain a motion.
I move that we transfer to UDOT Department of Transportation the following easements and real property for the Redwood Road widening and Mountain View corridor projects. Easements as listed on the agenda, Resolution R18-16, dated today.
Second.
Okay, I have a first from Councilwoman Barch. I have a second from Councilman Porter. Is there any further discussion on the motion? We'll do a roll call. Porter?
Aye.
Barch?
Aye.
Podeska?
Aye.
Wilden?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We have a public hearing for the fiscal year 2017-2018 budget amendments, Resolution R18-16.
Mayor, City Council, this is the 5th budget amendment for fiscal year 2018, and there was one added earlier a few hours ago, and it was put in your packet. It was highlighted in yellow. If you have any questions concerning that one, Jeremy's here to answer them. But other than that, do you have any questions concerning any of the others?
Just real quick on that item, we opened bids today for the sewer, the deep sewer from Pioneer Crossing to get through the CFI construction that will take place this summer, and then over down to Riverside Drive. And so that's that project.
Okay. Okay, this is a public hearing, so I will open it up to the public? Is anybody here for comments on the 2017-2018 budget amendments? Okay. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Is there any discussion from the council? I will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the fiscal year 2017-2018 budget amendments, Resolution R18-16, dated today.
Second.
Okay, I have a first from Councilman Porter and a second from Councilman Podeska.
If we can add an amendment to make it the updated 2017-2018 budget amendments, because there was an updated from what was in the packet.
Okay.
Okay, I have an amended first
Second.
and an amended second. Mark?
And the attorney's whispering, and add that to the resolution as well.
Okay,
And add that to the resolution as
I
well.
have an updated first again,
Second.
and an updated second. Is there any further discussion on the motion from the council or the attorney? Okay, I will do a roll call. Podeska?
Aye.
Porter?
Aye.
Barch?
Aye.
Wilden?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay, business items. The consideration for adoption of a resolution of the City Council of the City of Saratoga Springs, Utah, authorizing the issuance and sale of not more than 12 million aggregate principal amount of sewer revenue bonds and related matters.
What you have before you is the parameters resolution. We discussed this back at the retreat. Many projects that we're working on. We've spent some time, we sent out a memo last week that went into more detail on all of these projects. The good news is if in your motion, if you decide to pass a motion this evening, that you reduce that to $10 million as opposed to $12 million. But it's your standard parameters resolution. These are the maximum parameters within which we can operate, and then we'll be heading down the path to issue bonds, kind of like we've done in the past, but ultimately allowing us to move forward with several of these sewer projects. We anticipate $10 million worth of bond projects. As a city, we'd anticipate probably another $3 million worth of cash-funded projects that we have from our cash reserves. And then right now, we're working with developers to get approximately another $13 million worth of capital projects from their contributions. So, and it ends up being roughly a 50-50 split over time with those projects coming in with the developments that are appropriate with that. So unless you have any specific questions.
No, really, this is just for those watching, this is, in a nutshell, this is to improve the sewer system. We're on lift stations right now where we gravity feed the sewer down to a pit, we pump it back up, gravity feed it down again. That's not a sustainable system. This will move us to a gravity system, which will save us money in the long run. And it's in conjunction with the developers who are building. They will be paying for their developments. Through that, as Mark said, about a 50-50 split. Ours is to improve existing infrastructure. Theirs will be to take care and maintain new development that they are impacting the system with, so that current residents are not paying for future development.
Mayor, I also think it's important to note that we're able to do this without raising the sewer rate.
Right.
So this is, we're keeping it to a point where we can pay for it with existing revenues.
And not only are we able to do this without raising the sewer rate, but on top of that, this will allow us to have decreased future maintenance costs. So the gravity flow with the pumping of the sewer back up is a continuous increased cost to the city as we have to maintain those pumps. So as we can gravity flow instead, it becomes a decreased cost for our overall maintenance. And electrical especially.
Because now this will reduce the damage to the pipes too, because it won't have the gas buildup from the pressurized sewage.
Yeah, the sewage will leave the system sooner, so it won't get septic, and it will.
I also like to thank staff. I pushed back pretty hard on this. And I appreciate them taking the time to walk me through this and make the case that this was something that we had to go this route rather than being able to cash fund it as we go. I think that, you know, I looked at it and we would have basically run out of money and had 5 years of unfunded sewer projects. And so I appreciate staff working with me to make sure they did that. After.
Perfect. Okay, Councilman Wilden has joined us in person. Thank you.
I heard all of that. So.
Okay. I will entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve the, excuse me, the resolution, adoption of a resolution of the City of Saratoga Springs, oh my goodness, can I start over? Thanks. I'll move that we approve business item 1 for 10 million aggregate principal amount of sewer revenue and related matters, resolution R18-17 dated today.
Second.
Okay, I have a first from Councilman Barch, a second from Councilman Porter. Is there any further discussion on the motion? We'll do a roll call. Podeska?
Aye.
Wilden?
Aye.
Barch?
Aye.
Porter?
Aye.
Okay, we have a motion that passed unanimously. We have the update to the standard technical specifications and drawings, manual ordinance 18-6.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You know, from time to time, we need to update the standards with minor changes to provide additional clarity and effectiveness and remove inconsistencies and typos and to reflect best practices. So we're back here today with a few revisions. These went to the Planning Commission and were forwarded to the City Council with a positive recommendation. Since the Planning Commission, staff has decided that the second and third sentences of Note 12B of Standard Drawing ST34 belong in Title 19 instead of in the engineering standards. And so it's proposed that those sentences be removed from the proposed revisions. Did y'all catch which ones we're talking about? Yeah. Okay. So regarding the proposed slopes on the trail standards, they were taken from the International Mountain Biking Association's guide document called Trail Solutions, IMBA's Guide to Building Sweet Single Track, in the vernacular of folks who use those often. These are not ADA standards because not all trails can or should be ADA accessible. If the city chooses to design a trail to be ADA accessible, then those standards already exist and can be implemented. If a trail is not ADA accessible, then design standards become widely variable. As you probably saw in that document, there were several designations there. So as a practical, minimally regulatory approach, we propose to implement the half rule from page 63 of that document and the more difficult, the quote-unquote more difficult slopes from page 75. And we chose the more difficult slopes because they correspond roughly with the city's maximum street slopes. So with that introduction, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions?
So there's just one, and I actually talked to Gordon about this a little bit earlier today. One of the things that we have in the standards, and it's on that same note that we're taking the last two sentences out, on note 2, it talks about the trails along the waterfront, be it lakeside or riverside, and it says specifically in note 2 that trails must use concrete and be 12 feet wide. However, there's a little bit of a problem there in that we already have approved in a couple of areas boardwalks, and so what I would like to do in order to be consistent is to add to that note at the end of it, or boardwalk where approved by council. That way it's not a given, they have to come in for approval, but we won't then make those boardwalk areas inconsistent with our code. So that would be the only thing I have.
Other comments?
I just appreciate your comment that we're choosing the minimal regulatory path, so I always appreciate that.
Thank you. I just thought we ought to have something there. Also, just another note, as you see, there's a ton of stuff here about calculating stormwater runoff. And the purpose of that is just to codify the methodology that our consultants are already using for the master planning of the city, and to give developers, consultants some guidance, and so that we're all using the same methodology.
Makes sense.
Mayor and Council, I've gone through those with a fine-tooth comb, and for the love of all that's good and holy, let's not do it again.
Okay. I will entertain a motion.
I'll move that we adopt the proposed revisions to the city's standard technical specifications and drawings, except for the second and third sentence of note 12B of the standard drawings ST34 that say these trails should be maintained by homeowners association with a public access easement dedicated to the city. Additional consideration may be granted by the city for the developer's ongoing maintenance and obligations. Also adding to note 2 on that same exhibit, after the end of that sentence, adding or boardwalk where approved by council.
I'll second.
First from Councilman Barch, second
Wilden.
Can tell who's pedestrian. Second, any further discussion on the motion?
I have a lot more hair. I don't know how you got it. Well, I'm kind of looking around. Just.
Any further discussion? Okay, Porter.
Aye.
Barch.
Aye.
Jessica.
Aye.
Wilden.
Aye.
Thank you.
I move to adjourn.
I will.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, I have a first from Porter, a second Councilman Barch. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Aye.